just litigation or courtroom practice. There exists within the legal sphere many career paths or options available to people trained to be lawyers. And today on Law Express, we take on the topic, career opportunities within the law. My name is Noella Seidu. You just tune into Law Express. Don't go away. We'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, you get to meet my co-panelists on the topic today. This is Law Express. Stay tuned. Lamtig Apanga, a private legal practitioner, has a diverse range of hobbies that complement his professional life. He enjoys traveling to explore new places, reading to broaden his knowledge, playing sports for physical activity, and following politics to stay informed about current affairs. Nathaniani is a private legal practitioner with a sincere dedication to mentoring younger lawyers. He is deeply passionate about everything beautiful about Ghana. Noella Seidu. She's a private legal practitioner and a consistent member of our 3-lawyer panel on the show every week. She also doubles as the host of the show. She likes to play tennis and read.
Well, thank you very much, Noella. I think one of the best professions in the world is being a lawyer.
Bias.
Well, I mean, you can't be wrong about being a lawyer. Being a lawyer places you in a position where you are able, apart from fighting for others, you are able to advance your own personal ambitions in terms of career progression and all. Yeah. And the unique aspect of it is that you are a lawyer for life. It's not as though there comes a time when you are on retirement and therefore you don't become a lawyer anymore. You are a lawyer until you die, until your legs and your brain can't function
or until
anymore.
Your license is withdrawn.
Or your license is withdrawn, which is very rare unless you find yourself in a circumstance that call for it. And so it's very good to be a lawyer. And I'm sure that the path to becoming a lawyer is clearly defined. Most people know about it, that you need to at least obtain an LLB. After you have obtained your LLB, then you apply to go to the law school. Now it's a bit challenging to get into the law school.
More competitive.
More competitive than it was. But people are still coming out and the standards are still being maintained. So we're hoping that the numbers will not compromise the standard in the long run.
Relatively, though.
Well, the other important thing to say is that becoming a lawyer requires two particularly important things from my point of view. It requires some specialist learning and also some general learning. So most of the experiences you've had in life are necessary. They become necessary. Your upbringing is also necessary because being a lawyer, even though it is quite a tasking exercise to go through school, go through the training to become a lawyer, it still is a privilege because you are doing something that actually brings serious change into the lives of people. People have various issues. They come to you to seek solutions to those issues. You definitely would not be lording over them because of the fact that you have attained that status of becoming a lawyer. But you have to be a problem solver. And at the same time, you also have to be, to some extent, a gladiator because you'll be fighting on their behalf. But then you would realize when you become a lawyer that the learning you apply to the job is not only what you sat in the classroom to learn, but your total life experience is also coming important for that role.
You've both painted this glossy picture of who lawyers are, noble profession, and problem fixers. Probably it's time to unpack the various types of lawyers or the various activities the lawyers engage in through, in this legal space.
Well, if I could have a first bite, I think that generally people have heard some description as solicitor, barrister, and all that. Typically in Ghana, all lawyers are trained as solicitors and barristers.
Yeah.
It is in the UK and some other jurisdictions that we have barristers trained to appear before judges and advocate in court and do the courtroom work. And the solicitors generally do the back office work, which involves drafting of processes, papers, contract, reviewing of documents, and processes like that. They are solicitors. But in Ghana, we all trained as solicitors and barristers. So every Ghanaian lawyer who has been called to the bar is equally a solicitor and a barrister at the same time. Now, the nature of our work requires us to have acquired the license to practice. So anyone else who gets called to the bar after your mandatory pupillage, which is a 6-month attachment to a senior lawyer, if you qualify, you are now granted the license to practice within the jurisdiction of Ghana.
Yeah.
And once you are granted a license, every court in Ghana must grant you audience, or have the right to be granted audience in every court, and have the right to sign papers as a lawyer on behalf of clients. Now, our work involves courtroom practice and outside the courtroom practice.
Yeah.
We have lawyers who appear in court and do what we call litigation, or are involved in litigation on a daily basis. And then there are lawyers who also sit in the office and do the what you may refer to as the paperwork, or drafting of processes, reviewing of contracts, preparing documents for clients, and all that. Most people know lawyers to be generally persons who appear in court.
Yeah.
But there are more.
And there's a perception that if you don't go to court, then you're not really a lawyer.
Absolutely. No, but there are more options and avenues beyond just appearing in court and doing the advocacy that we do in court.
Okay.
Yes.
So even with the courtroom appearances, I mean, there are some lawyers that style themselves along the lines of constitutional law litigation, such that they only pick up some category of cases. Then we have some lawyers that like to try criminal matters. So yes, they all go to court, but then some people can opt to just do maybe commercial cases only.
Yeah.
So even in there are demarcations in terms of interest and specialty.
Yes, and that brings in the importance of the pupillage, the training with a more senior lawyer.
Yeah.
After you've had your hands taken through quite a few kinds of cases,
A variety of subject
variety
matter.
of them, you get to a point where you begin to see yourself possibly good at a certain area and maybe not exactly very, very effective in other areas, and you may then be able to focus on one area. The other thing too is that sometimes people are able to find opportunities in terms of their marketing and are able to develop a certain
Niche
let's say
area.
niche.
Yeah.
Maybe they are able to source work from particular industries, so they become lawyers focused on those
And
particular
consultants.
industries. Yes, someone can be focused on intellectual property.
Yeah.
So after some time, the person may not want to handle criminal cases, etc. Somebody may be very effective in dealing with prosecutors, and therefore would want to stay in the criminal.
So is it a thing of being
jurisdiction.
effective and competent, or is it a thing of what pays more?
It could be a combination
It
of
could be a
factors.
combination of.
I mean, one of them would be the person's personal desires and
Interest.
preference.
Yeah.
And then some persons also look at where it's perhaps more rewarding. And rewarding not just financial alone,
Yeah.
but the satisfaction of having derived the end goal.
Yeah.
If you are a lawyer involved in criminal prosecutions, for instance, one of the things you would want to see is to help your client where he is even guilty. You can at least help him to get the minimum
Yeah.
sentence.
To mitigate
The
situation,
punishment
yeah.
that he is going to
Yeah.
go through. If possible, where you can fight well for your client too. But in the pursuit of justice, your desire is not necessarily to get your client out at all costs.
Yeah.
It is to pursue justice. If at the end of the day, justice prevails and your client is found guilty, that's what it is. But you have done your part as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And largely too, also sometimes your own objectives in life. Because some lawyers, because of their own personal experiences, what they have gone through or what some members of their family have gone through, may want to focus on criminal defense, where they specialize. I know one particular lawyer, for instance, in Accra, who practices criminal cases throughout.
Only.
You don't find him in the civil courts, and every time he does criminal cases.
Probably there was some motivation from
Absolutely.
before he even went to law school,
Exactly.
where there was some injustice, and then he decides, I will dedicate my life to
Yes.
criminal law.
Yes. Yes, and in so doing, he develops a strong specialty in the area of criminal practice.
Okay.
And then can also create a strong niche in that area, which will help him. Even in the area of civil practice, we have lawyers who are focused on land litigations,
Yes.
or property litigations, and over time they build a strong
There are
background.
those doing
in
family law,
There are
where
lots doing divorce cases,
maintenance,
custody, maintenance, chieftaincy. There are lawyers who
Yes.
are also focused on chieftaincy cases.
That's interesting.
Absolutely. And even estate matters.
Yeah.
There are lawyers who are also focused in estate matters. And you find them almost all the time in the probate court. One estate case after the other. And the nature of our job, because we don't advertise and we're not allowed to advertise, you depend largely on references.
Yeah.
It is your area of practice would one
Sell
way or
you.
the other bring you similar
Yeah.
cases. If you turn out doing a lot of cases for persons who perhaps are within a particular industry, because that's network you work for, they are likely to refer to you to their colleagues in the industry.
So if you do immigration,
yes,
naturally those other experts have friends and family coming over. They are likely to.
If you've done a good job.
Yes,
Absolutely.
if you do a good job, yeah.
It's about performance also and competence.
Yes.
We haven't touched on the corporate lawyers. Some call them in-house lawyers. I mean, these are lawyers who are attached to a particular establishment and then they stay in. Probably we could explain further what they do and how they are a bit different from those who go to court.
Yeah, not much of a difference. It's just that there are some people who prefer to take up employment as lawyers in corporate establishments.
Yeah.
Could be a bank, could be a company,
Insurance company.
could be an insurance company, anything at all.
Or even the state.
Yes. So what they do is that they then focus on that particular industry, and most of the issues they would handle, I mean, they have one client, if I may say so.
Yeah.
The client is the company. So whatever they do is in representation of the company. So they advise in-house, and when there has to be an external dispute resolution, they would also play a role with that, I mean, on behalf of their company.
Decide to lead probably in arbitration or in
They
courtroom
could,
litigation.
but
Or
usually what companies do is that when it comes to actual dispute resolution, they might take an external lawyer to lead, and the in-house lawyer would support, but that is not always the case.
and these external lawyers are picked from the pool of private practitioners who have set up their firms.
Exactly.
Okay.
And have shown good quality for services in those particular areas.
Great.
Yeah, then there's also the very interesting aspect of even politics. It's not necessarily that being a lawyer makes one a better politician, but it has become an avenue for
It used to be
lawyers.
teachers.
Yes, because perhaps our training places us in a position of advocacy, where we speak on behalf of people. So we tend to acquire the skills for talking and making a presentation. And one of the cardinal qualities of a good politician is someone who can communicate, can convince others, and can advance an argument. And so a good lawyer may make a good politician, may make a good legislature in parliament. And also because parliamentary work is primarily lawmaking, a good lawyer may be able to bring into bear the skills that he acquires, expertise he acquires as a lawyer, into the process of lawmaking. And that leads also into policy and all that, and that can bring in the issue of politics.
When we decided to take on this topic or this conversation, we anticipated this angle he just brought to bear, especially because we feel that there's this perception that the law is just a narrow situation. Like, you become a lawyer, you must be in a wig and gown and go to court every day and put it to people. And so you realize many people address every lawyer they know as my lord, which shouldn't even be, because we are not judges. But I am anticipating that at the end of today, we would have made people see that, yes, you can be a lawyer called, and you probably might never set foot in the court, and still be a very successful person in an industry where you're there advising on intellectual property rights, helping people apply for patents and stuff like that in a very sophisticated dynamic that people perhaps would never have anticipated. let's look at the increasing inundation of the legal space by other professions. I mentioned this earlier before we came on set. You realize that more and more we have other professionals joining in. So in my class at the law school, I had a medical doctor in there. I had a diplomat in there who was already an ambassador as a classmate. And we had loads of military officers. So you realize that people are not seeing the law as just the only thing that they should be doing, but as an add-on to whatever. So it's to complement another career path they may have.
Yes.
But is there no danger in career lawyers who have no other additional professions?
Well, talking about that, I mean, it ties in with the current problems the law school is facing with the increasing numbers of people coming in, knocking on their doors to be allowed in. I sometimes think one of the problems is with the offerings in law in the universities.
Okay.
They are offering only LLBs, whereas sometimes some people don't need a full LLB. They might need just a diploma, a bouquet of subjects that may necessarily be, to more or less
Better
help
place them.
Help them in the work they do.
Yeah.
An HR person maybe wants to do some labor law, maybe a bit of torts, maybe a bit of contracts. That would be enough for him or her.
Yeah.
Somebody else may need just a little bit of something to add to whatever they're doing. But unfortunately, in our system, we seem to have only the LLB.
Just one part.
Yes. So the person gets the LLB, and the next thing is, well, if I have it, why don't I just go to law school?
Just because.
So you have all these people then, so you might have accountants, you might have engineers, you might have teachers.
Actually, they're all in there.
Within, most of us know that worldwide, some of the best judges we've ever had worldwide did not start off with LLB degrees and then straight into the law. You have mathematicians who became extremely good judges. You have historians who became extremely good judges. So there's something to be said about people going through another employment and then coming into the law. That is fine.
More maturity,
exposure, a wider breadth, etc. But then we should note one thing in the Legal Professions Act and the other regulatory laws in respect of the profession, that when you want to practice law, then those other professions should go way
you need
back.
to pick a side.
You should pick a side. You shouldn't be doing the two, because the focus, law requires a lot of sacrifices if you want to do it and do it very well. So if you have a divided attention on it, you might get yourself into.
But this actually starts from law school.
Exactly.
From the moment you get enrolled, you lose your friends.
Exactly.
I have actually held a view that I have no problem with friends and colleagues from other careers who want to jump onto the legal profession.
Okay.
It's fantastic. They are adding value to themselves. But I sometimes think that they have taken away slots for others who perhaps just want to be lawyers and are working towards being lawyers. You are a medical doctor. You want to become a lawyer afterwards. Somebody had wanted to go to medical school at the time and didn't get the admission because you got it.
Yeah.
And now you're seeking to pursue law. The reality is that you cannot practice medicine
and law at the same time. You need to choose one.
Perhaps what I have observed is that a few of them who doctors who became lawyers have moved into administration.
Yeah.
Into either hospital administration, into Ghana Medical Association.
And did that require a law degree?
And you don't necessarily need to have become a lawyer, be called to the bar to be there. Because you could have actually acquired the skills without necessarily being called to the bar. But be that as may, everybody has an ambition.
And right.
It is the right to pursue their ambition, so we cannot discourage anybody. It also helps to add value to the profession, because when we have all this number of people from different backgrounds coming, it enriches the profession. If you hear a lawyer speaks, because this lawyer has a construction background, has an engineering background, if he's speaking about subject matter, his depth of knowledge in that subject matter shows.
Even when they choose to try cases
Mm-hmm.
in
Exactly.
that space,
Yes.
Exactly.
you see that they understand it better.
Exactly.
It's like if you ride a motorbike and there's a technical question, maybe emanating from some injury
Yeah.
case, you know how the
Yeah.
bike operates, and the
Yeah.
kind of questions you ask in cross-examination
Yeah.
will be very different from somebody
Absolutely.
who can't even ride a bicycle.
Absolutely.
On this note, we'll go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we pick it up to continue with all the options available to people who have been called to the bar as lawyers. This is still Law Express. Don't go away.
I forgot to mention to you that there is actually a constitutional provision that reserves a particular job for a lawyer. If you're not a lawyer, you can't be the Attorney General of Ghana.
Yeah.
And that is a statutory requirement in our constitution. And so, of all the professions in this world, none of them is mentioned.
CJ.
She has to be a lawyer. She has to be a lawyer.
Yeah,
to
so
be
that's
a
also
judge.
another
Absolutely.
job guarantee.
But I'm telling you that to be the Attorney General, the only good part is that if we one day decide to decouple the office of the Attorney General from the Ministry of Justice, anyone else can be the Minister of Justice, but not
that's a
necessarily the Attorney General.
role.
Yes. But that aside, that just brings into mind the role of a lawyer in the public space too. We have lawyers under the Attorney General, and the Attorney General has several divisions. Apart from the ones we see in court who do prosecutions of criminal cases, there are those involved in legislative drafting. There are those involved in contracts and review of contracts and agreements. There are even those involved in arbitrations, international arbitrations. There are even those involved in international maritime law and other related issues like that. And so there are lots of lawyers at the Attorney General's office who we don't see in court, but also advance the cause of the public service. And then in the same public space, we have other lawyers in other public spaces that work as corporate heads of departments or legal departments.
Municipalities and all of that.
Exactly. And then beyond that, lawyers are also required on some judicial councils or committees. House of Chiefs, at the regional level, at the municipal level. Lawyers are there helping in providing judicial
and on boards
background.
of various corporate bodies.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Including state boards.
Exactly. And then in the security services.
Yes.
In most security services, they have legal departments, and lawyers are there, whether police, military, fire service, the lawyers are there. What is even unique is that in the Ghana Armed Forces, for instance, we have the Office of the Judge Advocate General, who is the more or less like the presiding officer of all judicial matters within the military. So if a soldier is found to have committed any of the offenses that needs court-martial, it is that Judge Advocate General who sits over the case.
And there are some lawyers within the forces who also represent these people before this forum.
Absolutely.
We make it look like there's a job for the boys. Once you become a lawyer, automatically you get a job. Because the options are many.
The options are many, and someone will say that the fallback option is to be in private practice.
Yes.
Because you definitely find your way.
And you could actually do one or more at the same time.
Yes, of course.
Yes. You can be in academia and still be private practice.
And that is what we haven't talked about, because when you are a lawyer, you can teach almost anywhere.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Medical school, you can go there for specific topics. You can be an adjunct anywhere, because there's always a little bit of the law tied into every space.
In respect of academia, there is usually more advanced learning required. So that you can teach and be effective at it. It requires a lot of research. So mostly, I think the accreditation authority also has indicated that to be able to lecture, you should have the minimum of a PhD.
Yeah, that's mostly with the public institutions. But then there are private institutions that will take experience.
Exactly, but I think at the end of the day, what happens is that before those private institutions get accreditation,
they need to meet their requirements. I think one thing they've done to make it more flexible, especially with professionals, is you can take an adjunct role, and then sometimes they put in the condition that within a specific number of years, you should have started or completed your PhD as well.
That happened with some other universities.
Yeah.
What others are also doing is to take coordinators who qualify. So the coordinator for a particular subject area would have a PhD, and then for particular topics, they get people from private practice and industry who have experience.
Let's say you don't even want to study further, but you just want to bring your experience to bear. You can go to the law school.
Oh yeah.
You don't need a PhD to teach there. It's mostly about experience.
Yes,
Exactly.
and I mean, take courses like civil procedure and criminal procedure and courses like that. You need someone who have been in practice for a while, who has speciality in that area, who may not necessarily have acquired some
LLM, PhD, whatever.
But even we need to make a distinction between teaching in the law schools or the law faculties, and then also even teaching in other places like the business school, like the nursing and midwifery, those other places where your knowledge of the law is not required to be that you should have an advanced degree in it, because you may be teaching basic contract law, or you may be teaching negligence and other medically related topics. And so that may not require an advanced.
And probably that is where the earlier conversation about other professionals studying the law comes in. So you are a lawyer, you understand it in detail. You can break it down, if you're also a doctor, to medical students.
Absolutely.
And so you have the benefit of both professions. We sampled people's opinion on the streets on this topic. Let's take a listen.
Lawyers offer a range of service like legal advice, representation in courts, drafting legal documents, whereby like court bills, contracts. They also specialize other ways in law, in criminals, and also in civil, family, and many more.
Yes, lawyers offer a wide range of services, including representation in court, drafting legal documents, and negotiation settlements. Yes, and also they can help in legal matters such as criminal defense, family laws, and many more.
Some of the services of lawyers is to protect legal rights, also to offer services to clients, and also to protect the rights of people in the courtroom.
They were answering the question, what do lawyers do? And so you realize most of them have a fair idea, but it will be the more nuanced areas that.
The other thing is that I can remember, of course, that since 1992, with the explosion of lots of media companies in the public space, the activities of lawyers, especially those in parliament, is right there in the face of a lot of people. As a result of that, you have a situation where people now associate lawyers with talking a lot. So people expect you
to talk.
People expect you to be, loud in defense of their rights, etc. It has all, created a situation where the law has become very popular. And you have, as a result, a lot of people trying to come in, so that to qualify, going to the universities to qualify. Then you have the situation where this led to the universities, especially starting with the public ones, of opening up to take in more people, and then the private universities also getting the permission to also start LLB courses. So you now have a situation where, when you compare it to other professions, you see that there's a lot more people coming into the law. I always use the example of the licensed surveyors. There are just about 600 or so nationwide. But you compare it to the law, nobody sees a surveyor.
But is it not because surveyors can still be lawyers? But if you take the part of being a lawyer, You are less likely to become a surveyor after being called to the bar.
But the point is that they are not in the media space.
Okay.
Nobody is talking about them as much as people talk about the law. Because at the end of the day, almost every single day, anyone listening to the news gets to see some lawyer talking, either in the parliament or some other.
But the law has always been a very shiny profession.
Yes.
From way before all this advocacy.
That is true.
I mean, people have always placed lawyers up there together with doctors and some other professions. And the advocacy only makes it brighter.
Yes, and in particular, the increased media space actually brings it closer to people. And now people see it as something they can also aspire to.
Also because media persons are also becoming lawyers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of people now have more opportunity to see lawyers in various roles.
So we have some lawyers who choose to work on media platforms where they just report on matters regarding the law, legal proceedings, articles on legal opinions and stuff like that. So yes, you can be a lawyer and choose to come to court and then report on these things in the media space.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the growing number of lawyers over time is calling for speciality, specialization, because as the numbers are increasing, in order to be effective within the space, you may require to specialize in a particular area. So maybe your background could be journalism, your background could be nursing, it could be medicine, it could be architecture or some other. And that would require that you now may want to specialize in a particular field. And as the numbers keep increasing, even to the extent that we used to reserve paralegal to persons who perhaps don't even have legal education. But in the course of time, persons holding LLBs could do the work of paralegal. We should distinguish between someone doing the legwork of going to file from the work of paralegal, where they sit in the office.
Those are clerical duties.
Exactly. They sit in the office and then draft documents and review documents and do some assistance or research work for lawyers. And so the numbers is good, and we have been told that we still don't have even enough lawyers for the entire country.
And yet there are still lawyers who don't have jobs. So I don't know, because when you look at all the opportunities, even from right here today, lawyers should actually
if there's any lawyer who doesn't have a job, if there's any lawyer who doesn't have a job, perhaps he is part of the problem, because there are several opportunities. Teaching is one opportunity. Unless your desire is that we are out of law school and in the next 1 year you want to see yourself at the top, you can do several other things. In fact, why is it that we have commissions of oath and persons sitting under trees around the court doing what lawyers do? Typing out documents, preparing LA applications, preparing
that should ordinarily be done in
a
law firm.
Absolutely. And so whilst you are busy saying you are looking for a big law firm to work, you can actually, because now you are licensed. And once you are licensed, you can prepare very basic documents like power of attorney.
If you finish privilege, you can even set up a firm if you so desire.
Exactly.
You just can't take on
genius.
genius.
You meet the requirements. Yes, once you meet the requirements, you can proceed. And so if you are a lawyer and say you can't find work to do, then perhaps you don't want to take advantage of the opportunities around. So maybe this conversation is opening their minds to it.
I mean, the idea is to let people see that there are a lot of things.
Yes. And lawyers require, the profession requires a lot of humility. You see, yes, you may have come out,
but our lawyers humble.
They are. To a large extent, they are.
They are.
Because, you see, you talk about someone maybe without a job as a lawyer. The question, I would look at it from the angle of humility. Is the person ready to listen and be mentored by somebody? Some people find it difficult to allow themselves to be mentored and may try to push themselves into the practice space. Maybe a few attempts at it, clients feel like maybe you don't have it. You know, so that is why it's very important. Yes, you may have that 6 months of training with a more senior colleague, but you still need mentoring in your early years so that you can become good at whatever you're doing. When that is there, when you allow yourself, then of course the opportunities will find you.
Great. We have some questions coming in by way of social media. We would take them briefly because we still have to talk about people moving from the bar to the bench.
My name is Sewa, and my daughter is considering applying to law school at the University of Ghana this year. However, her father, my husband, is not in agreement with this decision. I'm looking to convince him by explaining the career opportunities available to law graduates and the services that lawyers typically offer. Can you provide insights into the potential benefits and pathways that pursuing a legal education can offer beyond what my husband may currently perceive?
I wonder if it has to be the decision of the child and not the
I know,
parents.
right?
Because
It's like they want us to sell the profession
exactly,
to them.
because I believe you would know that there are some people who may have qualified with us, but then dropped it to go do something else,
Yeah,
and
they
they'll
were
tell you
never
that
really
I did it
interested.
for my parents,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to do what I want to do. So maybe the person should first of all speak to the daughter to find out what exactly the daughter wants. When that bridge is crossed and the child gets into the university, then of course, working hard as possible and passing, getting the LLB,
Yeah.
or if they take a combined course together with law, when they get out, the opportunities are definitely
To also
there. And
drive their motivation.
yes, and
even
we've been
to
talking
study.
about the several opportunities either in the public sector, in the private sector, or the employed bar, as I call it, lawyers employed to work with companies.
Hi, my name is Yasmin from Accra, and I'm interested in learning about the services that lawyers offer. Can you provide more clarity into the various legal services that lawyers typically provide to individuals, businesses, and organizations? Additionally, how do different areas of legal specialization impact the range of services offered by lawyers?
So far, a wide range of services. Apart from the courtroom litigation where we appear in court or we file papers in court on behalf of client to advance the client's interest, whether it's a fight over a land, a piece of land, whether it's a fight over some inheritance or property that has been left for some beneficiaries. Lawyers also offer services in drafting of contracts, in reviewing of contracts, in also representing clients in negotiation for businesses or transactions. Lawyers also go to the extent of even undertaking research and due diligence for clients in respect of projects, properties, and other things that they may want to.
Present legal opinions.
Legal
I'm saying,
opinions.
yeah.
And then apart from all that, lawyers also do what we sometimes may refer to as reviews of laws and then constitutional instruments and other legal instruments, where a lawyer would take his time to review a process and say that no, take for instance what Martin Pebu did that has changed the course
Space of bail.
Granting of bail in Ghana. Do you understand? I mean, he's a private practitioner who sat back, so noticed that there's this loophole in our legal jurisprudence that creates problems for people. So he went to court, and that has led to the drastic change in the position of the lawyer as far as
at his
grant
own
of bail is
cost.
condition. At his own cost.
Yeah.
So lawyers offer a wide range of services. It depends on what the client wants. And in terms of specialization and how it impacts on the services, as we've discussed earlier on, depending on the lawyer's background, and as my senior colleague said a while ago, your training, your personal experience, and other things all adds up in how you deliver your services to your clients. And so the specialization has a lot of impact, positive impact to the service that we deliver as well.
Yeah. I think the specialization is post-call, and after you've been enrolled as a lawyer, you decide that this is an aspect I want to limit my practice to.
Exactly, yeah.
There could be structured specialization where you go to school to add on,
but
it's not always required. You could just, from a matter of experience and paying
practice,
attention and personal practice and research, be specialized in an area where everybody knows that when you need to have a divorce, this is who you talk to. So in those cases, you don't even limit your expertise by saying I'm a divorce attorney or I am a commercial law attorney. People would say that, you know, you have commercial cases, go to this firm, go to this person, and he'll handle it.
And also another important fact is that when the economy expands and more complex issues come up between businesses, between professionals, etc., it becomes necessary for certain people to specialize because they become focused on certain areas. I would always mention intellectual property. Intellectual property was not something that
wasn't a big deal
it
here.
wasn't a big deal, but now it is. Considering the many artists we have around, people are writing a lot.
The innovation generally.
Yeah.
And another area is IT services.
Exactly.
And cloud space and data-related issues,
Yes,
the privacy.
We have several, relatively new laws in the IT field. But how many lawyers would be said to be very conversant with this area? And there are some of them, because of the work they do, they end up having to apply these on a day-to-day basis. Then, these people then can decide later on to focus on that area.
Yeah, you can even choose to, as a lawyer, limit your practice to digital reporting or actual everyday reporting in hard copy.
I mean, some people may not appreciate what is law reporting, so let's
Explain
break it down because we are lawyers here.
Yeah.
I mean, lawyers make references to previous cases that have been dealt by court and have made pronouncements. Some principles may have been emphasized, or new ones may have been advanced by the court.
Groundbreaking
Exactly.
ones.
So there are lawyers who specialize in reporting those cases, and their job is to go through the decisions of the superior courts, new policies that have principles of the law that have been advanced. For instance,
shifts in the position
exactly.
of the
I mean, it has
lawyer.
always been the case in the past that a woman must show her contribution in marital property before she can have entitlement. Over the time, there's been a shift in the
Different,
principle to show that properties acquired during the marriage are subject of distribution and more of that kind of decisions. And so there are lawyers who are involved in that. And even the diversity of it now is that there are lawyers who are not doing hardware anymore.
Hard copies.
They are actually doing it and putting it
Online,
online.
yes.
And there's even also the area of research.
Yeah.
There are lawyers who are writing books all the time, publishing books. And their main work is to stick back, go through series of academic work, go through cases, and are able to come out with books that help the legal profession.
In terms of career choices, yes, there are several of them. And one thing we should also appreciate is that the training in the law allows you to learn several skills. I made mention of analysis, made mention of evaluation. So there are some people who would apply some of these skills to what they are already doing.
I
And
think
it
I
will
should
help.
slip this in now. Please, no matter what you do not call a lawyer my lord. Please, don't do that. Okay, it's still Mr. This, Miss this, Mrs. this, or don't call your lawyer my lord.
At
That
best
is
call him counsel.
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 That's it, or esquire maybe. But don't do that. Don't say my lord. And then stay away, if you are not a lawyer, from calling a lawyer my learned friend or my learned colleague.
Yes.
Leave it for us.
Yes. You can refer to me as my friend who's learned.
Yes.
That can
Or
be
the
also.
learned man there,
Yes.
but not my learned friend.
We're not arrogant, but
No, we are not.
Well,
we just like to keep it to ourselves.
The ecosystem belongs to us. We need to protect the ecosystem.
protect the turf.
Yes.
Great. Can we now quickly put it in, because we are at the tail end of the discussion, migration from the bar to the bench,
Yes.
and probably reverse migration, because I've seen people move from being lawyers, they go to become magistrates, and then come back as lawyers.
Yes.
It's still a possibility.
Because we have the superior courts and the lower courts. So people in the lower courts, that is the magistrates and the circuit court judges.
That's
I
starting
think-
from district courts.
Yes, so
circuit-
if you're a
circuit courts,
magistrate, I
yes.
think the minimum is to have done 3 years
Yes.
practice. For a circuit court judge, it's supposed to be a minimum of 5 years practice. Now, these are not judges per se, they are judicial officers.
Magistrates.
So magistrates and circuit court judges. So upon retirement or upon resignation,
Yeah.
they can transition into the legal profession
Again.
and continue as lawyers. However, if it is someone who has gone into the superior courts of judicature, the superior courts being the High Court, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. When you go in, you cannot transition to private practice. You finish, and that's it.
You retire.
You retire
as a former judge, and that's
as
it.
a former judge.
You become a former judge. You can't go. Yes, you may help mentor. You may help train
You can
lawyers.
consult
etc.
if you like.
Or consult.
Research, write books, teach.
Exactly, but you cannot
You
Come
can't
back to
appear
the
step,
bar.
before a
step
judge.
back and
Yeah.
appear before
Correct.
courts.
You
That
know,
is
I've
not
seen
allowed.
this in practice once where a magistrate who resigned came back to the bar, and it was surreal for me because this was a lady that you'd appear before, and you know, my lady, and she makes her rulings. Then you turn, and there she is sitting at the bar with
next to
you.
you, yeah.
It was like, okay, you've gone
Yeah.
360.
Yeah,
Now
It
it's your
does
turn.
happen a lot with the,
Yeah,
the-
especially with younger lawyers who go in
Exactly.
there. They have a
after
feel,
some time they come out.
Yes.
and they miss
Into
practice. They come
yes.
back in.
Yes.
So we've now addressed that
Yeah,
issue,
But
right?
we need to appreciate that to be a superior court judge,
Yes.
you need to be a lawyer first.
By all means.
At
Well,
all
now
costs.
even,
and even
with
now with the
yeah.
lower courts too, you are required. In the past, that we used to have career magistrates
Magistrates,
that they allowed some persons who are
experience,
not lawyers but trained to just be career magistrates for the rest of their life. But now you need
been
to be a
phased
lawyer.
out.
Yeah, it's been phased out, and you need to be a lawyer to become a judge. So almost every judge you see, in fact, every judge is a lawyer.
Yeah,
Was
first.
once a lawyer
Yeah.
before
Yes.
you became a
Before
judge.
transitioning
Yes.
to
But once a lawyer, always a lawyer, huh?
Absolutely.
You are called, and then you
You
remain
remain
called till
there.
you are called to eternity.
Yes.
exactly 2 calls.
True.
There's even a joke that we are the only ones who will be in heaven because they will need lawyers to help with God to judge the rest of you.
Oh, nice. The rest of them. Did you say the rest of you? Then it looks like there'll be lawyers there also acting as lawyers for lawyers to be judged by God.
Absolutely.
Oh my
We are
goodness.
the only ones with the clergy who were
Yes.
Oh yeah. I never paid attention to that.
Yes.
it tells you there's something about
Absolutely.
Something
I've even
divine,
noticed that
right?
now some members of the clergy are also pursuing law. I have
Yeah.
some Catholic
Yeah.
priests who have been called to the bar.
I've
my own
appeared
mate-
before Catholic priests who are judges as well.
Yes.
My own
Lots
mate,
of them.
yeah, my own mate was a Presbyterian.
Sometimes I'm baffled.
reverend,
Like,
yeah.
are they not likely to be forgiving everybody there?
No.
Because once a person confesses, then they put on the clerical robe. Like, okay, go and sin no more.
They do their work. They do a very good job.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
They do a very
But
good
I
job.
find them a bit more charitable when it comes to award of costs. See,
All the
this
ones I
matters to
know.
me. They are all like, oh, why do you want so much? In fact, there was a case where I appeared before one, and the counsel on the other side offered an amount, and he thought it was too much.
Wow.
Like, why?
They are human beings.
Yeah.
so-
But that's why we say that the judge also comes with his bias. He's a human
Yeah.
being.
Yes.
Depending on what his aspirations are, depending on what his beliefs and values are, those ones may also affect
But we
him
have to put it
too.
out there. Don't be deceived. If you think that because the judge is also a priest, you go away with a slap on the
No
hand,
way.
forget it. You might go in for a very long time.
Exactly.
This has been a very insightful and interesting conversation on career opportunities in the law. Thank you so much, as always, for coming. Viewers, my co-panelists have been Nathan Yani and Apanga Lamti. My name is Noella Seidu, and our message to you today has been, by all means, study the law. This has been Law Express. Goodbye.